Amen. Okay, so tonight we're going to learn about the month of Kislev, which is also connected to the sign of Sagittarius. So some of you have already been to my other classes or learned with me before. I know that I teach the kabbalistic perspective of the meaning of the month. And so what we're going to be doing is exploring what Kabbalah has to say about this month and what is the unique potential that we have to reveal during this month specifically. And what I love about teaching Rosh Chodesh is that it really highlights how every month of the year has its own unique energy that it has a potential to reveal that is very different from every other month. So I almost see it as like the year has as like blocks of time, and that each block has something very specific that we're supposed to focus on, which I really like a lot because it gives me a sense of like a practical know-how of like, okay, what am I going to focus on this month? And I also believe that it builds up a sensitivity in how we go through the month in a way of like being more conscious of like the energy of the month. And energy sounds very like new agey or hokey or whatever, but I think the more you learn this, the more you do realize it and become aware of it. Like for example, last month, the month of Scorpio, most people who are aware of Scorpio know that Scorpio represents like a very intense, heavy energy. Like Scorpios also as people are super intense, like very like, controlling and, not in a bad way, but they're just really intense people. So the month tends to be a very negative month, which is sort of like a down after the high of the holidays, where we have like, in Tishrei, we have like all these holidays. It's like this moment of high of celebration, and then we go into this lull where all of a sudden the clock goes backwards, it becomes darker. You're like, what happened? How did it get so dark so quickly? All of a sudden you want to sleep all the time, you're tired, you just want to hibernate, you just want to hide, like there's this energy of like you were out there so much during the Chagim, and now it's like sort of retreating inwards, which I think is such a positive thing to be able to sort of take a relaxation from that type of energy and just like retreat inwards. And so this month, Kislev, is actually the darkest month of the year. So it's really interesting that it's called the month of light, even though it's like in a logical sense, it's really the darkest. So we have so much we're going to learn about that, and what does light actually mean? What is this month of light and this month of miracles really all about? And how do we actualize that? Does everyone experience miracles this month? Is it just accessible to everybody, or do you actually have to do something to bring that blessing into your life? What do you actually have to do to manifest those miracles? So we're going to go into that. So the first thing we're going to learn is that in Kabbalah there's a very strong emphasis on the Hebrew letters, and that the Hebrew letters are not just letters that we use for communication or for prayer or to learn the Torah, that the Hebrew letters are actually spiritual DNA of the universe, that they're a physical manifestation of spiritual energies, and that Hashem created the world through the Hebrew letters. So as far as how it applies to the months, each month has two letters for that month that we're supposed to meditate on. One letter is connected to the planet for that month, and another letter is connected to the sign of that month. Now this is where we get into kabbalistic astrology. You're like, what is the planet, the letter, the sign, what are we talking about here? So the source for this is a very, very ancient kabbalistic text called the Sefer Yetzirah, or the Book of Formation, which is attributed to Avraham Avinu. And it's interesting because we just recently were learning about Avraham in the last few weeks about, how Hashem promised him how he would have children. And Hashem said, and it specifically says, Hashem took him outside to look at the stars. And Rashi says, what does that mean? He took him to look at the stars. So he explains that to take him outside of his astrological influence, because Avraham knew how to interpret the astrological forces, like the constellations. That was a wisdom, that was a very ancient wisdom that he was very familiar with, and he knew, according to the stars, that he was not supposed to have any children. So Hashem was teaching him, okay, there's something said in nature. Yes, nature might say that you're not meant to have children, but I'm going to show you how to rise above the mazalot and how to access the bracha regardless, which is really unique to the Jewish people, because we are a nation of miracles. We're a nation that is the way we operate is based on miracles, and the way that we can access those miracles is through doing our spiritual work and our spiritual practice. We should see our the Torah, the mitzvot, all the things that we are given as like spiritual tools, as the way that we can access these amazing brachot and blessings that Hashem wants to give to us. Because we know that God is endless giving, endless love. Hashem only wants to give us. So why don't we have everything that we want in our lives? Is because we have to make the effort. When every Shabbat, what do we celebrate on Shabbat? The world was created in 7 days, but was the world completed? No, it wasn't completed. The world is still unfinished, and it still needs to be completed, and we're partners in that creation with Hashem. And the way that we perfect the world is through our spiritual practice as Jewish people and the tools that Hashem gave us. So we're going to learn how to apply very specific spiritual practices this month in order to access the very unique energy of miracles that's available to us this month. Okay, so like I said, in the Sefer Yetzirah, in the Book of Formation, Avraham says which letters are control of the month and which letters control the signs. Okay, so the two letters are Samech and Gimel. So, well, first, I printed out just so you can see the letters, just so you can see what they connect to. Samech, which is like a circle, controls Sagittarius, which is a sign of this month, or otherwise called the month of Kislev. And Gimel is rules the planet of Jupiter, which in Hebrew is called Tzedek. Tzedek means what? What is Tzedek? Justice. So, which we'll explore what that means as far as justice. Now, this is a really cool thing that I learned and I want to share with you guys. So, the Gimel is actually made up of two other letters. What are the two letters that you see in the Gimel?
Vav and Yud.
Exactly. You see the Vav there, and then you see the Yud. The Yud is almost like upside down. Okay, so there's a deeper, like in Kabbalah we learn like every letter has a very specific purpose. So the Vav, what is Vav in Hebrew grammar? What does the Vav do? When you use Vav, what does it do? It's Vav, right, it's called, what's the word? Vav HaChibur. It's the linking letter. So it's not just a grammar thing, and actually in the spiritual world, that's what Vav does. Vav represents the link between this world and the upper world. So the Vav and the Yud are actually two letters that are part of Hashem's Tetragrammaton, which is the holiest name, the Yud Kei Vav Kei. And so every month has a different combination of the Yud Kei Vav Kei. So there's 12 different combinations. So in the month of Kislev, it starts out with the Yud, the Vav, and then the Hey and the Hey. Now, Hey in Kabbalah, Hey represents Malchut. Like in most Hebrew names for girls will end with a Hey, right? Like Chana, Rina, Sarah, they all end with a Hey. So Hey is a feminine letter. And Hey, spiritually, especially in Hashem's name, Hey represents the feminine. So what does that mean in Hashem's name, masculine, feminine in Hashem's name? What is that actually referring to? So when we're talking about divine light and how it manifests in this world. Everything we're learning about is how do we connect the upper world to the lower world. So the Vav is the key letter that connects the upper world to the lower world. So what does that mean when we know that the combination for this month is the Yud, Vav, and the Hey Hey? What that means is that the month is starting with giving. The Yud and the Vav represents Hashem's giving. That's the male energy. Male energy is giving. Hey, hey is female energy, it's receiving. So that means this is a month where there's a lot of blessing. There's a lot of Shefa coming down into the world. There's a lot of miracles that are available to us. And we'll explore how to access that. Now, what's the Samech? Samech, what does it mean in Hebrew, lismoch?
To rely on,
Right, to rely on, to support. Lismoch, ani somechet alav. I rely on him, I depend on him. So the Samech is actually related to the month before, which is the letter Nun. What was the previous month before this month? Was the month of Scorpio. So what happened in the month of Cheshvan? What happened in the Bible during the month of Cheshvan? What was the big event for Cheshvan? No, the flood. The flood happened. That was like the disastrous, most like horrible experience that happened last month. So that's considered like a really negative month. And this month is Nun, which represents a month of support. So the Samech and the Nun, what does the Nun and Samech together make?
Yes, miracle.
Nes, miracle. So what's the connection? What does that mean? Last month was Samech, or last month was Nun, and this month is Samech. In Kabbalah, they call it Somech Noflim, that this is a month that supports the fallen. Meaning we just went through this really difficult month that was so intense and dark, that now this month is lifting us, it's helping us recover from a difficult month. It's a time for us to be lifted up and to be revived again. That's what the energy of this month means. Now another thing, like this, the sign. How do you say Sagittarius in Hebrew? What's the word for Sagittarius in Hebrew? Anybody know? It's Keshet. What is Keshet?
Rainbow.
Rainbow. So where's the first place that we ever see a rainbow?
After the flood.
After the flood. So the flood happened last month, and this month was when the rainbow. In KISLEV we saw the rainbow. And what was the rainbow supposed to symbolize?
That God would never again destroy the world like that.
Exactly, that the world would always stay in balance. It would never get to that lopsidedness of evil to the point where Hashem would want to destroy it. So whenever we see the rainbow, what is a rainbow in essence? It's a half
of a bow and arrow.
Or another, just like geometrically, what is the rainbow? Half a circle. What is the circle?
Completeness.
Right, it's wholeness. So the when we see the half circle, the keshet, it's supposed to remind us that we don't see the full picture. That we shouldn't assume that what we see in nature and what we see in reality is all there is. It's supposed to remind us that there's something above that is controlling. We're only seeing half of the picture, which I thought was really cool when I learned it. Okay. Now, let's talk again about this month of Jupiter. What is this really cool month of Jupiter of Tzedek? So this is Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. Now I know we're talking about planets and like how is it possible that planets could have an influence on us, and really one of the ways that I like to explain it is one of my teachers shares it this way. He says, when you look at a computer and you want to understand what's going on in the computer, do you turn on the screen and turn on the power and look at the screen and see what's going on the screen? Or do you open up the computer and take it apart and look at the chips and try to figure out what the chips mean? Like, what would be a better way to see what's actually happening there?
Depends what kind of problem. I mean, the source is the actual computer, but if you want to actually make it run, then that's on the screen.
Exactly. So really, like, it's really like the face. Like, the screen is really like the face of the computer, just like a person. If you really want to see how they feel, do you look at their heart? No.
Yeah.
They look at their face, right? So panim represents the pnim. The pnim is the inner world, right? So that's really what's happening here with astrology. Astrology is really just the face of the universe. There's forces that are happening. There are forces that are at play. And this is a way for us to read those forces, to interpret those forces, even though we can't actually access them at their core. We don't have access to that. So this is just a way for us to read it. So that's what I'm talking about here when I'm talking about planets, because this is an influence on us. So basically, Jupiter is a really, really great planet. It's one that represents expansiveness, like a lot of like connection to philosophy and higher learning. It also represents, like, if somebody has Jupiter in their chart, it represents like a lot of luck, good luck. And Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarians, I don't know if you guys have ever had any close friends or family that are Sagittarius. Sagittarius falls between November 20th to December 20th, like approximately. And I love Sagittarians. They're seriously like such fun people to be around. They're super lucky. They literally have like a magic wand or something that they go around, and they're so lucky. Like, just first of all, lucky in love. Like, they're the most romantic sign. Like, they just have love coming to them very easily. They're super adventurous. They love to travel. They're very active, really into like being around people. And super intellectual. Like, I would call them like the air sign of the fire signs, because Sagittarius is actually a fire sign. And fire signs are known to be fire represents action. It represents motivation. It's like a drive. And air represents intellect and communication. So most of the fire signs, like Aries or Leos, are like really, they're go-getters, but in a way that you're like, ugh, like you don't really want to be around them. They have a lot of big egos, and they're leaders, but in a way that's like a very strong, like in a very strong, intense way. Whereas Sagittarians, they're much more humble, really thoughtful and kind, and I think of them as like the spiritual rock stars. Like, all the Sagittarians I know are like people who are great musicians, but they're also great teachers. So it's like this combination of like, they have an ego, but not from a place of like showing off, but from a place of like wanting to share, wanting to heal the world. Like, they really believe that the world is good and that things will always work out for the best. So just like a really positive, fun sign to be around. And they're just the type of people that really know how to lift you up, and in a very meaningful way, not in like a superficial way. Like, they have a lot of thought behind them, you know. So definitely make a friend with a Sagittarius if you can. They're just like wonderful people. But like all signs, every sign has its light and shadow side. And we'll get into, you know, what the Sagittarius, like, they basically are they can sometimes be over optimistic because things always go their way. They just anticipate that things will always go their way. Like, you know, they rely on that. And they need to be a little more, you know, proactive and actually make things happen and not just wait for things to happen. So that's one thing. Another thing is that, they're not they're not so sensitive. They sometimes, like all fire signs, get caught up with who they are, that they're not as sensitive to other people. And also they're just like go, so they don't really make time to like reflect on what they're doing or why they're doing. Sometimes they'll just chase a challenge just because it's challenging, and they're like so confident in themselves and their ability that they don't really think twice about, oh, why am I doing this? What's going to happen after I accomplish this, you know? So a lot of the things that I'm sharing with you about Sagittarius, it's not just about them as a sign. This is who they are. That's how they live their life. But it's also about this month and how these traits are available this month. So what does that mean? It means this would be a great time to go on a vacation. This is like, you know, Sagittarius are like freedom lovers. It's a great time to just free yourself from your routine, from your you know, box, and just allow yourself to really explore who you are. Like, one of the things that I'll go into later about what's the lesson that we learn from Chanukah about why it was so important for them to find that oil, that pure oil. And why did that oil last for 8 days? If the oil would have lasted for 1 day, that would have been fine too. Like, it didn't have to, they would have been fine. The miracle was that they, this small little group of soldiers were able to defeat this massive army. The miracle already happened. Why did we need that extra miracle so this whole concept of light and purity is something that is a broader lesson for us here, that is beyond just Chanukah, and we just commemorate something that happened in a temple, thousands of years ago. So one of the ways that you can access the truth is through knowing the tribe for this month, because there's 12 months and there's 12 tribes, right? So each month is ruled by a specific tribe. So the tribe for KISLEV is Benjamin. What do we know about Benjamin? What was unique to him that was different from his other brothers? He was he was the youngest, right?
Yeah, he was.
So right, and where was he born?
In Egypt. Was he born in Egypt?
Mm-hmm.
Where was he born? He was born in Israel. He was the only one of the tribes that was born in Israel. Because when they were crossing over remember they left, or they were escaping Lavan, and so he was born just as they were crossing over, and then Rachel was in Bethlehem. Bethlehem was already in Israel. So Benjamin, that's why Benjamin also received out of all the shares of the land. You know how every tribe received their plot? Benjamin received the plot of where the temple is. So Benjamin is connected to the Holy Temple. And also, one of the things we learn about Benjamin that is relevant, it says in the Torah, when it talks about all the different blessings of all the different tribes, the blessing that Benjamin got was, it says, and of Benjamin, he said, the beloved of the Eternal shall dwell in safety by him, meaning he was very beloved by God. Like that, there's a special divine providence over this tribe and over their land, that he has a unique place. So, and also Jerusalem is considered a unique place. It's considered the highest and the holiest and the purest place in the world where we connect to Hashem. So how is that connected to this month? It's showing us that this is the month when we're supposed to access our highest self. That's why finding that oil was so important, that pureness. Oil and light is really connected to the soul, to show us that this is a time when we're supposed to access our purest self, and to really find what is the highest vision of ourselves that we want to manifest in our life. And in order to do that, that's why I said it's good to travel. Sometimes you need to get outside of yourself and out of your bubble to allow yourself. I know when I travel, it motivates me to, when I get back home, to make changes, right? And it's also connected to, I think, a lot of times people talk about this month as the month of miracles. What's so great about having a miracle? What happens if any of you have ever experienced miracles in your life? What was so wonderful about experiencing the miracle? What was it that was so special about having a miracle happen to you?
It's something you didn't think was possible,
right?
Or you didn't expect. I think maybe you feel more hashgacha pratit. You feel God's presence in your life, and it makes you feel closer and a little more important also just as a person, that you matter.
Right. Yeah. What else? Do you feel like having that experience changes you?
It can if you wanted to.
I believe that miracles, when you do receive a miracle in your life, it's like you were saying, it is hashgacha. You do feel like you've experienced Hashem directly somehow, like Hashem is looking out for you. But I don't believe that it ends there, right? I think that real miracles, they change us. They make us more aware of life and the possibilities in life, and that it's not enough just to believe in them, but you actually have to create the vessel to receive that miracle. I know in my life, whenever I've had miracles, they didn't just happen. They didn't come out of nowhere. Usually I went through a process where I was actively chasing that miracle, like, and knowing that the thing I was going for is a miracle and it would take a miracle to make it happen, But I didn't just wait around for it to just come to me on a silver platter. I was doing everything possible to activate, bring it up, like make it happen, like make me worthy of a miracle is my approach. So I think that that's a very powerful way. It's a very proactive way of manifesting miracles in your life. And one of the things that I think is the most important, there's two key things that I believe, this is my little Torah, there's two things that I believe activate miracles in your life. First of all, I totally believe in the concept of midah keneged midah, measure for measure. That if you want Hashem to manifest like something super wonderful for you, you should do something for God as well. Like they change something in yourself. Like I believe that miracles are like a gift, right? It's just a gift. So what can I give to Hashem that's a gift? What would be something that I could do that would be a gift for Hashem? So everyone has to ask themselves that and to know what that would be. But to figure out what is it that you can do to show Hashem, you know what? You're going to give me, I know you're going to give me this miracle. I want this miracle so badly because it's going to change my life and it's going to help me get closer to you. But what can I do in the meantime to manifest that and to bring that closer? Does it mean that I act more like you? What does Hashem do? Hashem is a giver. Hashem is he cares for other people. Hashem does gmilut chasadim. So that's what we need to activate within ourselves. The other thing that I learned about this month that is super powerful and has always stayed with me because I'm like a very visual learner. In classical sort of astrology, the constellation for this month is the archer, right? So there's always that vision of like the archer pulling the bow deep into his heart, and then we know that with, I don't know if you guys know, not many people use an arch, but basically the bow, the further you pull it inwards or deep within you, or the further you bring it in, the further it'll go out. So the deeper you bring it in, the further it'll go, which is connected to prayer. That the deeper you go in your davening and your meditation and the way that you speak to Hashem and the way that you activate your relationship with Hashem, the deeper you go in that practice, the farther it will reach and the farther impact it will have. So I've always had that association. So for me, the month of Kislev is like when I think of the archer, I think, okay, the bow and the arrow, let me pray, let me go deep, let me activate myself spiritually in a way so that there will be a stronger impact, So that's something I've always visualized. And another really cool thing that I've loved about this month, Kabbalists are very into playing with words. So Kislev, if you break it up into two words, is kis and lev. What is kis? Pocket. And lev? Heart.
But it's spelled with a bet. Oh, we said similar sounding words still. Okay.
Right. So that's a good point where you're saying, because we brought that up earlier in the class, earlier today, that sometimes there's words in Hebrew that aren't spelled exactly the same, but they sound the same, so there's a connection between them. So even though Kislev is spelled with a vav, and lev, which is heart, is spelled with a bet, or a vet, it's still connected. So what does that mean? Kis means pocket, lev means heart. What does a pocket do? A pocket holds something for you. It's a vessel. And what is the heart? The heart is it's what you want. Yeah. So what this means is that this month has the vessel and the desire and the gift. Meaning it has both. It has the light and the vessel. That this month you don't just have to yearn for something. It's actually going to manifest. It's actually going to come to you. And that's a cool little thing I love from the name of it. So another really cool thing that I learned about this month. So in this month we learn a lot about Yaakov. That Yaakov, what happens with the ladder? Jacob's ladder. What happens with the ladder? What's going on there?
Just go up and down.
Right, but what's he having?
A dream.
A dream and a vision. And then we learn about Yosef. And what is Yosef? He's the dreamer. So this is a month of dreams. That this is dreams not in the sense of just superficial, have dreams, but more from the place of like the dreams are meant to be meaningful this month, and that you could have visions and clarity about your life through your dreams. So that could manifest in two ways. One, in that pay attention more to your dreams. You know, they say that one of the ways that you can use a dream is like you write down on a piece of paper a question before you go to sleep, and then hopefully in the dream you'll get an answer. That's one way. Another way is to actually sit and meditate and have a vision of a dream for your life. Like actually dream. You know, like as a child, when we had all that time to just sit around and just like, you know, daydream. I know I used to all the time. We don't really get to do that so much anymore. Yeah, but this is a good time. Well, if you're on that vacation, then I'm telling you to go on. You have time to dream. But this is a good time to really think about, you know, what do you want your life to be? You know, what is the vision that you're setting for yourself, and how to be able to listen, to listen to that little candle, to listen to the purest version of who you are, and to really go for it like a Sagittarius would, like fearless, just like a child. Like you can get it'll come to you. You'll get it. All you have to do is just open yourself up to the possibility. Dream again. Open yourself up again. Be receptive, but also the word trust in Hashem. I think hopeful. That's the word.
I knew it.
Yes.
It just takes courage and to be hopeful, to be brave enough, because you open yourself up to some kind of disappointment as well. So that's being fearless.
Exactly. Having hope, I think, takes a lot of courage. You know, it's not a lot of people give up hope. I think having hope is really a big act. And I think with the ways that we can open ourselves up is by taking time out and meditating and just like visualizing, you know, and with no, don't look backwards. Don't look backwards and let that stop you. Don't judge yourself. Don't hinder yourself. Like just free flow and let the dreams come. Let's see what else. Okay, I shared all this stuff with you guys. Okay, so Chanukah. So, you know, the mitzvah for Chanukah is to actually light and look at the candles. You know, I don't think enough people know that. I think people just know, okay, we're supposed to light 8 candles. Every day we add another candle, left to right, the whole thing. But it's actually a mitzvah to actually look at the candles. And the beauty of that is that when you look at the candles, you're really meditating. It's really a meditation on the light. And because it's at a time of year when everything is dark, I know from my own experience that like whenever it's the darkest in your life, the smallest bit of light makes a bigger impact. And for me, light would mean love, kindness, generosity, thoughtfulness, sensitivity. These types of acts of light are very powerful, especially when it's really dark. So I think that when we're supposed to meditate or look at the lights of Hanukkah, we're really supposed to integrate that in every darkness there is light, and that light is really like what empowers us to move forward, you know, and how important it is to just allow ourselves to believe that light overcomes darkness. I feel like so much we're constantly bombarded in this world with images of things not going well. You know, unfortunately, that's the kind of, you know, culture that we're in, and the media that we have is a very negative focused media, and there's not enough that shows us the goodness and the good people in the world, and the people that are like this month is Tzedek, the month of Jupiter, that are doing the right thing, you know. And we learned that this morning about how it's so important to do the right thing, and how we're not going to get that from the outside world. The outside world is not going to tell us do the right thing. The outside world will tell us do what feels good, do what you want to do, you know. But it's really about doing the right thing. And I think that that's what drives us as Jewish people, is that drive is our morality, you know. And that's really what was at Hanukkah. That was what was at stake. It was we represented as Jewish people. We represented a culture of morality, but also a culture that believes in miracles. Like we believe that there's more in this world than just nature. And that's what was the struggle, the battle, is that one side, the Greeks believed that what you see is what there is. This is logic, this is reason. They appreciated those aspects of our Judaism. They appreciated our Torah, they translated our Torah. But what they didn't appreciate was like Shabbat and the Chagim and circumcision and all these things that you're like, why would you do that? And I think that, it's a testament to our survival that, like we've lasted so long because we believe in miracles. We believe in things beyond. It doesn't make sense that the Jewish people have survived, and God willing, we will continue to grow and prosper and succeed and survive, but it doesn't make sense that we have. So I believe that the key thing is because we are a people of miracles. We believe in miracles in our history. I mean, if you look at the history of Israel and how Israel was created, that was not so long ago a story of miracles happening. So I think that's something really important to carry with us. I'm just going to review a couple more things that I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so this was really cool. This is also a very cool kabbalistic thing that I learned. So, did you ever wonder why there were 8 candles? Why the candles lasted for 8, not 6, or 8, not 4? Like, why the number 8? Anyone have a guess?
+1.
What's that?
Shabbat +1.
Shabbat +1. That's
7
very
+1.
close.
Yeah, there were 7 on the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash.
Right.
So, again, something like that +1.
Right. What else? What is
It's beyond the world. It's beyond Shabbat.
Beyond
It's like
nature.
beyond the spirit. It's like just
Yeah.
passing the physical completely.
Exactly.
Infinity. 8 is infinity on the side.
Right. But what Yafi was saying is right on, because what is 7? 7 represents nature. It's our world, the 7 days of the week, the 7 colors in the rainbow, the 7 notes in music. 7 represents nature, this world. So 8 always represents one above nature. So that's why we have the 8 candles to teach us that not only was the miracle of 8 days, but that just even the number 8 shows us that this is to show that we are above nature. We are a nation of miracles, which I think is really cool. I love that. Let's see what else I wanted to share with you. Okay, I think I almost shared everything, but how long have I been teaching for?
40 minutes.
40? Oh wow, that flew by. Okay, good. So, okay, good, I'm glad. So, it was fun. It went by so quickly, I feel like I've been teaching for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's just wrap it up and summarize what we said. So, this is the month of miracles, but what does that mean, month of miracles? It means that we need to actually do something to activate those miracles. What are the things that we can do to activate those miracles? I'm going to test you guys now. What are some of the practical things that I said you can do to activate miracles in your life? One at a time. Aura, go ahead.
Deepen out to feel it, to like really like pull towards Hashem, like that, like the archer, like deepen our connection to Hashem.
Right. So
How's
deepen
that
our connection to Hashem through prayer, just like the archer with the bow. Yafit.
Give Hashem like a miracle, like do something for Him, because we believe in midah keneged midah. So you do something for Him, maybe He'll do something for you.
Exactly. So measure for measure, we do something for Hashem, Hashem will do something for us. What else?
Emulate the way Hashem is. Try to be, I guess it's related to what they said, but a little bit different.
So what would be an example?
Kindness towards others, trying to giving tzedakah, trying to embody the way in which He is and the way He treats us.
Exactly. So emulating Hashem's ways, kindness, gemilut chasadim, which is also related to the letter Gimel that we were saying. Gimel comes from the word of gomel. Gomel means to give, to share. That's why this is such a powerful month because this is time of sharing. So not only is Hashem sharing, but we also can share and activate that bracha. What else?
Accessing your pure self. So, like, really meditating and figuring out, like, who you really are and what you really want, and that will manifest into reality.
Exactly. So accessing your pure self, really setting a vision, thinking about, where's my pure light? What is my highest version that I want to manifest? What else?
Go on that vacation.
Yes! I'm for sure she would say that.
I'm already thinking like, no, can't do that. So,
well, a vacation could, I took like a 1-day vacation once, and I was like, wow, I feel recharged, like I've been away for like a week,
Day trips can do that. If you
Totally.
leave the city for a day, it's unbelievable the way it just like shifts your energy and
Yeah.
look at things.
Exactly. So it doesn't have to be like a big thing, even just getting out a little bit somewhere in nature, I feel like is always really energizing, or hanging out with some good friends and going to visit some people that you care about, I think is always energizing. So just to get outside of ourselves a little bit and just be a lot more connected to, I feel like it's the inner child, that part of ourselves that is just free and happy and hopeful and positive and just wanting to really just go for things with no fear and just complete trust in Hashem, and knowing that Hashem's got our back, Hashem is watching over us, He's protecting us, He'll make the miracles for us, and we'll do our part as well. So thank you. I'm really glad you guys came.